you have to understand, in our business where there was 1,000 events, now there's maybe 80. So BB Blanc, we started in 2008 on the heels of an exit from a prior company that I owned in the same space. So for about 25 years prior, I started out as a wedding DJ and from the mid 80s, and then grew my business from there into a live events company, predominantly serving the corporate and social markets. The bulk of our services are audiovisual production, so audio, video, lighting, technology services, and live entertainment. So dancers, singers, circ acts, DJs, bands, musicians, the whole 9 yards. So if a client was throwing an event, whether social or corporate, we had the technology and the technical manpower or the entertainment services to make their event extraordinary. So the first leg of my career was just started out as a kid, 15 years old. This business took me through high school, took me through university. I got a real job working for the government. I lasted 3 years there. And from there, I left and I went full-time into my business. I grew it to a pretty significant level. Got to a fork in the road with a previous partner in 2008. He bought me out with a no non-compete, and I started BB Blanc 3 months later. And from there, we went from 0 to just shy of 8 million in 12 years.
So let's get right to it. So what would be the biggest problem that you're trying to solve now with BB Blanc?
The biggest challenge we have right now is obviously the market has changed so much with the lockdowns on live events. The whole industry is really shaken by that. Obviously, people can't gather, people can't get on planes. So our whole business is built around people gathering, and the stage we're sitting on, we would build these on a daily basis in different venues throughout the city and Canada. And so that whole business has basically disappeared. So along with that work disappearing is all the revenue that came along with it. So obviously as a business, growing business, we were quite into our path of scaling. We were on track to get to 30 million by 2028. That was our goal. And we had just recently moved into this facility. March the 6th of 2020, we moved in our warehouse. And March 23rd of 2020, we were gonna open the doors of our 45,000 square foot facility to our staff. And on that day, March 23rd, our business became non-essential. So basically for a better part of 3 months, I walked around this place by myself, trying to figure out what I was gonna do next.
Okay.
So our biggest challenge is obviously revenue. Like we're capital intensive business, locked into high overheads, leases, capital leases, equipment leases, buildings, trucks, and we have a huge amount of labor that goes along with that. Over the course of 12 years, we built a fantastic team of 65 people, a 7-person leadership team, and we were getting ready, obviously, with the move for our next stage, which was 10 million, 15 million, and then 30. So there's a lot of challenges.
Okay, well, that's a great place to start. So we're going to do what we did last time. We're going to go to each expert, ask for one question that they might have. There could be more than one based on time, to help them better understand the problem before we jump into possible solutions or resources that they might feel could be beneficial to your team moving forward.
Excellent.
Okay, so let's start now with Elizabeth. Elizabeth, how do you understand Rennie's problem, and what interests you moving forward?
Yeah, what I see Rennie's problem is obviously it's a service business that can't serve any people right now, just due to the lockdown environment. But I'm curious, because you started this business in 2008 during a very uncertain time, and also split from a partner. I'm curious that what you learned from that difficult time that may be applicable to this difficult time.
So I have no problem with the challenge and the fight. Like, I'm totally okay with that. And I know what needs to be done. Like, basically, when I restarted in 2008, I was the driver, the salesperson, the entertainer, the technician. I did all the roles. I have no hang-ups. I can go back and do that all again, no problem. It's just right now, when I started in 2008, my fixed costs were much smaller than they are now. So I just locked into enormous fixed costs, both labor and infrastructure. So, you know, those don't go away too quickly, right? So we're locked into deals with the banks and all kinds of stuff. So there's a lot of negotiating and stuff that has to happen. Obviously, if you've dealt with banks, you understand there are ratios we need to meet. The ability to meet those ratios are very challenging with the lack of revenue. Just to give you a little background, so from March, basically March, I would say 15th through to about August 1st, we made like $20,000 or something. So that's a business we should have been making $4 million in that time. So that's the huge challenge. But we do have ideas. We have done a lot of good stuff. After we walked around for 3 months and couldn't believe this was happening, we finally pivoted in late June from defense to offense. We built this studio and the stage you're sitting on. So my biggest Achilles heel, like the space and my overhead, turned into being my biggest advantage because I have so much space. We could build out this studio, pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
We were one of the first on the block to pivot and do this and offer this as a solution to our customers and to the planning community. And the space is so big, we actually have this stage, a Studio B and a Studio C. So we have 3 spaces available for customers to come in, pre-record their events, do a mix of pre-record and live. And we also have a platform which they can communicate out on the World Wide Web with the attendees. So we have done stuff. It's just, you have to understand in our business where there was 1,000 events, now there's maybe 80. So a lot of people have the luxury of not doing an event and canceling, but there's a small portion that can do events. So obviously there's a lot of people fighting for that work.
Okay, I'd like to bring in, Leanne has a clear stop time, so Leanne might, I want Leanne to go first, next, and at 12 you're gone. And then
No, I'm okay. I have a bit more time, Jamie, because
Okay.
the train schedule, I have to pick up a kid at the train and it's not till 2:30, so I've got some time. I'm okay. I thought the train was earlier.
Okay, I just want to say I want to go to Leanne, then I want to go to Erica, and then Erica, could you facilitate us through the rest of the problems with each person, if that works for you?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead, Leanne.
Okay. Hi, Rennie. So I'm wondering, sounds like if you think about somebody like you, what an amazing one-man band when you think about 2008 and all the skills you had and how you were able to kind of run the things single-handedly. I'm wondering what hidden superpowers there are in that team of 65 folks that maybe you haven't called on yet. And do you even know what they are? And what might be a process you could use to find out those superpowers and identify opportunities and skills and gifts and talents that are on that team that you might not be capitalizing on yet?
That's a great question. And a lot of those things have actually come out automatically because the environment we're in, this virtual environment, is much different than the live environment. So some of our long-standing seasoned technicians, some of them have made the switch to virtual and some of them haven't. And some people we didn't expect to step up have like really stepped up in a big way. So we are seeing that. It's a very tech-savvy environment, like different than the live field that we were in. So we have identified some of that. The other challenge we have is of the 65 people, we're only left with 10 and a handful of people that are just on hourly. So basically, if we have events, we'll call them in. We're trying to manage our costs. So, everybody that we had working for us is trying to figure something out in the real world to keep going and support their family, etc. So, that tightness that we used to have is not the same. But we do have a good core team helping us pull through. And the way I see it is similar to when I started in 2008. There'll be a small group of people here getting things started, and then we'll just, as things click, we'll just grow rapidly and just duplicate the formula as we keep going, so.
Great.
Thanks, Leanne and Rennie. I have a question for you, which is, to me, I think a secret weapon of any business owner is the ability to listen, and specifically listen to your customers. And I understand that you said you went from the industry went from like 1,000 to 80 events. What are your customers telling you about why they are or are not running events right now?
Well, some people just have the luxury of not doing an event. Like they're not bound by associations, restrictions, or the need to communicate. Other organizations, like for example, if you're in pharma, you have a large sales team. Normally you would have a large sales kickoff event, anywhere 100 to 300 people attending. Well, they don't have the luxury just not to hit the numbers anymore. They got to keep their teams motivated. They got to introduce new strategies. So, those people have to continue. Business has to continue. So there are a lot of organizations that have to keep pushing forward. So we're trying to identify those companies. Like we all have seen in our personal lives, there are people thriving in this environment, and there are people like not much has changed, and then there's people like us that have been devastated, right? So we're trying to find the companies that are thriving or there is a genuine need to continue to communicate. And we're looking to help them with the solutions we have in place.
Thank you. Gare, would you mind asking Rennie some questions?
Well, right away, the obvious question, Rennie, I was fascinated to hear about your wedding DJ background. Was there a go-to song that you had that could get everyone on the floor?
Well, you have to pick the decade. The song kind of changed, But definitely, you want to know the track?
Absolutely. I think the whole panel wants to know what songs.
So probably from when I started, like in the mid-'80s, probably till the early 2000s, it was Kool and the Gang Celebration.